Welcome to my channel, The Stoic Way. If you've ever felt a woman pulling close one moment and drifting away the next, something inside you just tightened, didn't it? That uneasy feeling right there is the doorway to everything we're about to uncover. Before we go any deeper, take 1 second, subscribe to this channel, and like this video, because the psychology you're about to hear will change the way you speak to women forever. I'm talking to you not as a performer, not as a motivator, but as a woman who has spent years inside the emotional minds of other women. And the truth is simple, but uncomfortable. Attraction is rarely built by what you tell her about yourself. It's built by what your questions awaken inside her. Most men interrogate. Powerful men evoke. The difference is everything. There are questions that feel like small talk, and there are questions that quietly bypass her defenses and touch her identity. When you ask the right kind of question, her nervous system relaxes, her imagination turns on, and her emotional investment starts growing before she even realizes it. That's not manipulation. That's understanding how human connection actually works. Here is the first truth most men never hear. Women fall in love with how they feel around you, not with the resume you present. So your question is not a tool to extract information. It is a trigger that shapes emotion. When you ask with curiosity instead of strategy, you signal safety. When you ask with depth instead of performance, you signal confidence. And confidence felt emotionally is far more powerful than confidence performed verbally. As we move through these 6 questions together, I want you to listen like a man who is ready to drop old habits. Let your ego loosen its grip for a moment. You don't need to impress her by being the most interesting person in the room. You become magnetic by being the man who makes her feel most understood in the room. Right now, I want you to feel this sentence settle into your chest. The quality of a woman's attraction to you will never rise above the quality of the emotional experience you create for her. Questions shape that experience. And the first one begins by shifting her focus away from you and gently back toward herself, where all deep attraction is born inside the mind. When you ask this first question, you are not fishing for trivia. You are inviting her to step into her inner narrative, the private story she tells herself late at night when no one is watching. The question is simple on the surface, yet profound in impact. Ask her what is something about you that you're secretly proud of, but rarely talk about, and then you stop talking. You don't rush to fill the silence. You let the space do the work for you. In that pause, something subtle happens inside her. Her attention turns inward. She begins to scan her life for meaning, and the moment she finds it, you become emotionally linked to that discovery. You are no longer just another man asking questions. You are now associated with her self-worth. That is a powerful psychological bond. Notice what this question avoids. It avoids status. It avoids appearances. It avoids the shallow games that trigger temporary excitement but no lasting connection. Instead, it signals emotional intelligence. It tells her, without you ever saying it, that you value depth over display. Women who seek real connection feel safe in that energy. Women who fear intimacy feel exposed by it. Both reactions work in your favor. When she answers, your job is not to impress. Your job is to witness. Reflect what you hear with calm presence. If she talks about resilience, you acknowledge her strength. If she talks about creativity, you acknowledge her courage. This is how you let her feel seen without making her feel analyzed. Most men miss this moment because they're already preparing their next line. Don't stay with her reality. Attraction doesn't spike when she hears your story. It spikes when she feels validated in her own. You are not building desire by performing. You are building desire by allowing her to emotionally expand in your presence. If you remember nothing else from this moment, remember this. The fastest way into a woman's heart is not through her defenses. It is through her identity. And this first question opens that door quietly, respectfully, and powerfully, setting the emotional tone for everything that follows. This is where curiosity becomes confidence and listening becomes leadership. You are guiding the emotional rhythm without force. You are letting her reveal, not extracting. And that difference is what separates the men she forgets from the man she keeps thinking about tonight. The second question works on a different layer of the mind. The first touched her pride. This one touches her longing, and longing is where attraction quietly grows roots. When the moment feels natural, not forced, you ask her this: what kind of life do you hope you're living 5 years from now? Then again, you slow down and listen as if the answer truly matters. Because to her, it does. This question does something most men never understand. It lifts her out of the present moment and places her into a future version of herself. Neuroscience shows us that when a person vividly imagines their future, the emotional centers of the brain activate as if that future is already happening. If you are sitting across from her while she mentally steps into that vision, you become emotionally associated with that future feeling. You are no longer just in her present. You quietly enter her tomorrow. Notice the power here. You are not promising anything. You are not posturing. You are not claiming to be part of that future. You are simply creating the psychological space for her to feel it while you are present. That alone triggers a sense of possibility, and possibility fuels attraction more than certainty ever could. When she speaks, you may hear dreams of freedom, of security, of purpose, of love, of peace. Each word is a window into her deepest unmet needs, and your role again is not to fix, flex, or advise. Your role is to reflect presence. You acknowledge the feeling behind the vision. If she wants peace, you recognize her exhaustion. If she wants adventure, you recognize her hunger for life. If she wants love, you recognize her courage to want it. This is where most men sabotage themselves. They turn this moment into a sales pitch for why they fit her future. That collapses the magic instantly. The power comes from restraint. You let the future stay hers. You simply stand calmly beside it. This question subtly communicates emotional leadership. It says, I am not intimidated by your dreams. I am not threatened by your growth. I can sit with your future without trying to control it. That emotional signal is rare, and rarity is magnetic. Right here, she begins to feel something she cannot logically explain, a sense of emotional expansion in your presence. That feeling is not lust, it is deeper. It is the early gravity of attachment forming quietly beneath the conversation, beneath awareness, beneath strategy. The third question moves from dreams to emotion, from possibility to memory. This one is subtle, but its effect is profound. You ask her what experience in your life changed you the most, the one that made you see the world differently. You say it calmly, almost like a thought you're sharing with yourself, and then you let her answer without interruption. This question bypasses surface conversation and goes straight to emotional depth. She may hesitate at first, most people do, but that hesitation is the doorway. When she finally speaks, she is revealing something sacred, something that shaped her perception of herself and the world. At that moment, she is vulnerable, not just with words, but with the emotional imprint of her life story. Vulnerability is a magnet, but only when met with the right presence. Your presence matters more than your response. Don't try to one-up her story or relate it to your own life. That breaks the emotional gravity immediately. Instead, listen like her reflection. Mirror the emotional weight of her memory with quiet acknowledgement. If it was pain, show empathy without trying to fix it. If it was triumph, honor it without envy. Women feel attraction to men who can witness them without judgment, who can hold their emotional world without collapsing under it. Notice how this question shifts the dynamic. She is no longer performing for you. She is sharing herself with you. That alone creates intimacy far beyond words. Most men confuse intimacy with physical closeness or flirtation, but true intimacy grows in the silent spaces where someone's story meets someone else's unwavering presence. Here's the psychological truth. The more she feels understood on an emotional level, the more her brain begins associating you with safety and connection. Those are the foundations of attraction that last, the kind that sticks even when you're not there. You are essentially becoming a part of the internal narrative she tells herself about meaningful human connection. Remember, this isn't about controlling her emotions. It's about letting her emotions rise naturally and simply being there to honor them. By asking this question, you are giving her the rare gift of being truly seen, and that is far more intoxicating than compliments, charm, or bravado. This is the point where attraction starts to feel effortless. She may not even know why she feels drawn to you. She only knows that she feels a sense of depth, a sense of safety, a sense of resonance. And that, my friend, is the hidden power of asking the right question at the right time. The fourth question is where curiosity meets desire. Up until now, you've explored her pride, her dreams, her transformative experiences. Now it's time to gently move beneath the surface, past the obvious layers, and into her inner world. Emotional freedom, quiet passions, the things that make her feel alive when no one else is watching. You ask her calmly, what's something you do just for yourself? Something that makes you feel truly alive? And then you stop. You don't rush. You don't fill the silence. That pause is everything. Most men feel uncomfortable here. They jump in, relate too fast, try to impress. You don't. You give her space to explore her own thoughts. You let her world come forward on its own. And when she answers, don't just listen to what she says. Feel how she says it. The energy, the emotion behind the words, that's where real connection begins. Does she light up with excitement? Does she soften with peace? That energy is the raw material of attraction. Women are drawn to men who notice it, who reflect it, who honor it. Here's the subtle psychology. By asking this, you validate her individuality. You show her that you see her not just as a companion or a target, but as a fully realized human being with passions and needs of her own. Most men unknowingly suffocate attraction by turning every conversation into a mirror of themselves. This question flips the mirror. It puts her in focus, and focus creates emotional intensity. As she speaks, you mirror just enough to acknowledge her energy, not to dilute it. If she talks about hiking, you acknowledge her adventurous spirit. If she talks about painting, you honor her creativity. If she talks about a guilty pleasure, you honor her honesty without judgment. This is subtle, almost invisible, yet it plants the seeds of desire. She begins to associate you with validation and freedom, emotional states that are inherently attractive. Notice the transformation in the conversation. It is no longer transactional, it is experiential. She is creating a story in her mind where you exist as a safe, affirming presence, someone who elevates her emotional life without asking for anything in return. That is magnetic. That is rare. That is the invisible force most men never learn to create. Remember this, attraction is not built through logic, arguments, or even charm. It is built through emotional resonance. The more space you give her to open up, the more alive she feels, the more seen, understood, and free she becomes. And the deeper she sinks into that emotional state, the stronger her attraction grows, almost effortlessly, without conscious thought. When you truly master this, something subtle happens. The next time she thinks of excitement, of freedom, or even a quiet, private joy, your presence will already be woven into that feeling. And that's when attraction becomes instinct, not decision. That is the hidden power of the fourth question. It turns you from a man she talks to into a man she feels with in ways she cannot control or explain. The fifth question is where attraction transforms into emotional dependency. You've built curiosity, pride, dreams, vulnerability, and excitement. Now, it's time to connect to desire through values and identity. You ask her, what kind of person do you admire most, and why? Then you sit quietly, letting her unfold. This question works on a subtle psychological level. When she speaks about the qualities she admires, strength, courage, kindness, independence, she is revealing her ideal self, and by listening attentively, you are associating yourself with that ideal, not by claiming it, but by reflecting it back. Her brain starts to form connections, the qualities she values most in others. She begins to link with the man in front of her. That is invisible attraction at work. Most men approach this question incorrectly. They try to prove they possess those traits. They try to showcase that collapses the magic immediately. Instead, your role is to witness and acknowledge, allowing her ideals to shine and letting her project them onto you subtly. This is how emotional desire forms without pressure, without performance. When she talks, listen for patterns. Does she value resilience, honesty, adventure, or loyalty? Each answer is a map of her emotional wiring, and if you respond with curiosity and reflection, you strengthen the unspoken bond between her values and your presence. She begins to see you as someone who naturally aligns with her deepest aspirations without having to declare it outright. The beauty of this question is that it bypasses superficial attraction entirely. It touches her subconscious alignment system. She is not just thinking, she is feeling, and feelings are far more persuasive than words. By holding this space for her, you become the man who understands her at the level most men never reach. At this stage, attraction is no longer just about conversation. It has become a psychological echo. Every time she evaluates potential partners, your energy, your presence, and the emotional depth she experienced with you resurface. You are now linked to her ideal, her longing, her admiration, and that is magnetic in a way she cannot articulate. Finally, understand this attraction built through identity and values is sticky. It lasts beyond the conversation, beyond the initial spark. It becomes part of her mental landscape. And when combined with the other questions, it creates a complete emotional architecture, one that makes her think about you, want your attention, and feel the pull of connection every time she reflects on herself and what she desires. That is the hidden power of asking the right questions in the right. Thanks for watching. If you found like this video, please press the bell icon and subscribe to my channel, The Stoic Way. Thank you.